Welcome to the show. I'm Jason Whitlock, and I'll tell you how LeBron James embarrassed himself after getting swept by the Warriors.
And I'm Cowherd, and I'll tell you why. Just like I've said all along, LeBron's going to the Lakers, and it's going to happen soon. Speak for yourself on a Monday starts right now.
Oh, you seem so pleased with yourself.
Yes, I am.
LeBron's coming to town. It's like Santa Claus is coming to town. All right, hello and welcome. We're joined today by NBA champion Dante Jones and Fox NBA analyst Chris Broussard. Let's start with LeBron James, who might have just gotten swept by the Warriors, but made it very clear that he has no idea where he'll play next season. Even still, basically the whole world assumes his days with the Cavaliers are over, and if that's the case, he won't leave his hometown team in very good shape. With the Cavs in the hands of Kevin Love, George Hill, Tristan Thompson, and Cleveland's favorite son, A.Smith, among others, Cowherd, should LeBron be concerned about leaving the Cavaliers in such a mess?
No. Again, it's not his issue. They had a number one pick years ago, and they picked Anthony Bennett. Probably the number one worst pick of all time. Giannis was available that draft. You love Steven Adams. He was available. Victor Oladipo was available. And if you put any of those three guys on this team, especially Giannis, LeBron's not leaving Cleveland. This is once again the Cavs unable, when given an opportunity. They handed the franchise over to LeBron, but they have wasted opportunity after opportunity.
And so, I mean, not taking Giannis, that was before LeBron and came back. The decisions since LeBron came back have been mostly dictated or influenced by LeBron James. And so, yeah, I do think he has a little bit of responsibility to leave this team in better shape than just a hot mess. Chris Paul, who has really no real connection to the LA Clippers, made it a point to try to leave the Clippers in as good a shape as possible. He did. He did.
That was the only way he could get out of there. Right. Houston couldn't have just signed him outright as a free agent. Chris didn't care if they would have sent garbage bags to the Clippers, all right? He wanted out. That's the only way. I'm
It's his
shocked.
hometown team.
Come on. He really you really think he has some responsibility to make sure they're in good
Responsibility
shape?
is a strong word. Should he be concerned is the question. Yes, I think he should have a little bit of concern about his hometown team.
Not at all. First of all, I don't even think he grew up as a Cavs fan because, look, the Cavs were a bad team.
Front runner, a Cowboys fan, or,
yeah, George,
Yankees
Michael,
fan.
Cowboys and all that.
Yeah.
But he spent 11 years there if he leaves. He took them to the finals, a team that never been 5 times. He won 1 championship, their first in a major sport in 52 years. When he leaves, there should be more of a feeling of gratitude in the city.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming back, and we understand you want to chase more championships. But no,
The way you left the Kansas City Star, we were just honored to have you. Now go to greater things. It's the way they should handle it.
No, I left the Kansas City Star in much better shape than when I got there.
But it wasn't the same when you left.
Well, no, LeBron's never going to
That's because I was gone.
Number one, LeBron's never going to do that because obviously you're going to be bad when he leaves. But this happens to all championship teams. How good were the Celtics after Bird and McHale? And
Thank you.
The Lakers after Kobe. Well, no, Showtime. You know, you struggle.
Do you think he's going to be guilty?
The Lakers after Kobe.
He should not be concerned, number one. Number two, they're not in as bad shape as you think they are because they have assets where they can acquire things and they can make this situation work. They can trade LeBron. They can sign and trade LeBron if they get under the cap. So Kevin Love's an asset. There's some teams that won't turn Kevin Love down. You can get him for cash. You have Jordan Clarkson that's an asset. You have Kyle Korver who's an asset because people need more shooting. So you can turn this roster into
Kyle Korver?
It's an asset. It's an asset for some
just
teams.
Rewind. We'll
No.
remove Kyle Korver from that.
No. He's an asset because he's at a price point where you can get shooting.
Big three.
And it won't cost you that much. if you want regular season basketball, you get Kyle Korver.
He didn't say he was the best asset.
I said he's an asset.
That's right.
So you can get things and you can shape your roster to make a contending team, not for a championship, but a playoff contending team. And he's not in a bad situation. Because if you sign and trade LeBron James for assets, let's say in my guy Collins' situation going to LA, they have assets that can trade for LeBron James and still make them a good team for the future.
I like
right now.
that.
Well, the more
so you still can make this a situation. Julius Randle, hypothetically, could be out there in a situation where you could sign and trade him and put him on that roster and make a young, competitive, athletic team with that number one pick.
Trade would be Boston. L.A., LeBron probably would rather go there as a free agent so they don't lose some of those assets.
No, but you could. But if you trade him to LA, now you still can use that roster, use that cap space, and sign 2 free agents. So now you get a big 3 instead of a big 2.
But by the way, guys, this
you
is
mean
how
in L.A.
In
Yeah.
LA.
Yeah, I think they should.
this is the way in the NBA it generally works. Your Dr. J, your Magic leaves. I mean, we've seen the Lakers.
Magic left.
No, but when Shaq left the Lakers, even with Kobe, they went into the tank.
Shaq got kicked out of the Lakers.
Well,
But they did go
regardless,
down.
they went down and were irrelevant, and then they went and made a trade, engineered it for Pau Gasol. When Michael left, I don't think they've ever recovered. I mean, this is the reality. Akeem's gone. The Rockets weren't good until about this year. It's okay. That's the way sports works.
At Buffalo Wild Wings, we'll admit that we often go overboard with our limited time offerings. We just can't help ourselves. Take our new signature sampler. For $15, you get wings and 3 shareable options like fried pickles or cheese curds. Then there's our aptly named over-the-top nachos, a literal mountain of crispy tortilla chips loaded with your choice of pulled pork or honey barbecue grilled chicken, corn, jalapenos, and more. Then top it all off with our new platinum margarita. Go overboard with us today at Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. Available for a limited time while supplies last. Please drink responsibly.
All right, well, LeBron's future isn't the only thing people were talking about over the weekend, especially after he showed up to that post-game presser with a cast on his right hand. Whitlock probably just went crazy on that. But unlike his plans for next year, LeBron had plenty to say about his injury.
What happened, self-inflicted, post-game after game 1, very emotional. For a lot of different reasons, understanding how important a game 1 is on the road for our ball club. What would that done for us? The way we played, the calls that was made throughout the course of that game. I had emotions on, the game was taken away from us. I had emotions of you just don't get an opportunity like this on the road versus Golden State to be able to get a game 1. And, I let the emotions get the best of me and pretty much played the last 3 games with a broken hand. So that's what it is.
It's amazing. Whitlock was wearing that cast a bad look.
Everything that transpired game 4 was a bad luck. That NBA All-Star game that they played in game 4, the effort that they gave in game 4, a bad luck. What did he take, 13 shots in the game? He gave up. So, and then to come into that post-game press conference with that and go ahead and get ready to tease me. I like LeBron.
You keep saying
I
that.
like LeBron. But this is inexcusable to come in there with that cast and throw that excuse out there. It's embarrassing. It speaks to someone, and again, people got upset with me over Twitter because I compared him to Ted Kennedy. And I did it because Ted Kennedy's that royal family. And as soon as he got in a big jam, puts a neck brace on and starts making excuses. And it's how privileged and elite people act. Instead of taking responsibility and owning it, they go to distractions. Bobby Petrino did it at Arkansas. And again, I'm not comparing what LeBron did to those guys, but the mentality is the same when you've been pampered. No one in the media after that game asked this man a tough question about that effort that him and his team gave and whether that was a stain and why are you just now rolling out this cast. No one questioned this guy at all. It's inappropriate. When you're that powerful and that important, you should be questioning. You shouldn't be offended by it. And if he were the guy, this magnanimous person that everyone thinks he is, he wouldn't be upset if people actually questioned him.
Listen, if you'd have told me before the series, all right, there's this team, and they have 4 Hall of Famers, a better coach, home court, and they get a huge, huge break in officiating in game 1. They also have the deeper, better, younger athletic roster against the one-man team. You'd have called it a sweep. You'd have said the last game's probably a 20-point game. I mean, we can talk about all the minutiae and the details, but we're watching a dynasty against arguably the worst finals roster ever. In 2 of those 4 games, a minute to go, I didn't know who was going to win. That's pretty darn good. This is a mismatch. When you lose a bowl game to Alabama by 30, did you quit or did you get rolled?
No, we're going to have to go long because I want to give these guys plenty of time. Colin, the man is supposed to be in his 15th year, this great leader, respected figure. Some adversity strikes, and as bad, and look, I get it. J.R. Smith, what he did was criminal. But in your 15th year, you got to handle it better than LeBron James
Perhaps.
did. You can't. This is Gus Frerotte slamming his head into a goalpost. This man comes in and admits, I slammed my fist into a chalkboard and ruined my team's chances.
He took responsibility for what happened.
Yeah.
So the media is going to tear him down regardless of when.
Oh, come on.
Listen,
the media bends over and kisses the dude's butt.
When he lost, the media was going to tear him apart for everything regardless of it. There was no way of honorably losing for the man. However, coming to the media conference with a cast on your hand, now that it's over and now that I can show what is going on in my life and with my body, because if I did it in game one, the Warriors would attack my hand.
Yeah.
I can never show it with this cast because they will attack me. So now, as I'm preparing to take care of my body for the rest of the summer, now I can take care of it. Now I can put a cast on.
When he was
now
slapping five with everybody on the way out, was his children attacking his hand then?
You can still shake people's hands when you have a swollen hand. You know that, right? When something's wrong with your hand, you still can shake a person's hand.
You can make it through a press conference without putting that cast on.
But what you don't know.
You're not suggesting he wasn't hurt.
Oh, no, I think he was hurt.
Okay. I'm not killing him like you. I do agree. I think it was bad optics to come to the press conference with the cast. Like, you could have waited to put that on. You know, I get why he didn't let it out earlier.
Why?
Because they would have been. Just because it looks bad. It looks like it opens yourself up to this type of criticism. It looks like you're making an excuse. I'm not saying he was making an excuse. It isn't an excuse because it's self-inflicted and you played through it. So there's no excuse. I just think it's a bad look to go with the cast at the conference.
Two things. Number one, the way the arena is shaped, you go from locker room, press conference, out. The press conference is right near the exit. Number one.
But you can go out anyway. I mean, I've been.
Number one. So then I have to go backwards to the locker room, get my hand wrapped up, because at the end of the day, it just is what it is. It's hurt. I can take care of my hand right now. I can wrap it, and I can go home and be with my kids. The season's over. Why do I have to think about? Why do I have to think about
because
every way of you guys?
But
it doesn't take you out of being a human, and you still think like a human. You're a public figure to everybody else except yourself.
I get what you're saying. I'm not saying he was legitimately hurt.
He is legitimately hurt. We know this. We've seen it.
It's just like not a few years ago against Dallas when he said at the press conference, now everybody can go back to their little old lives, and basically implying that people stop focusing on me and go back to your lives, which aren't that great.
Crummy lives.
He was actually right. That was true. And I get where you're getting criticized by people and you're like, look, go back to your own life if it's so great and all that. He was right to say that. I understand why he said it. It was a bad look. And that's what I'm saying with this. It just wasn't necessary to go out there with the cast because it made it look like Jason says you're looking for somebody to give you an excuse.
It made it look like the truth. It made it look like I'm hurt, I'm taking care of my injury, and I'm leaving, and I'm done for the year.
You could have done it, Dante, without the cast. You just played a game without the cast. You just slapped five with everybody walking out off the arena.
If my season's over, am I thinking about the optics of my life?
When you're a public figure, you have to think about the optics in virtually everything.
Dante,
you take the humanity out of it when you put humanity in everything.
Let me ask you a real question. Does LeBron ever manipulate the media?
Does LeBron ever manipulate the? I don't know that answer. I don't know that answer. I know we tell what we want to as athletes regardless. As human beings, we tell what we want. We shape opinions according to how we want.
Happen to leak in the
information was already out. The information
of the
before
fourth,
he got there.
In the fourth game. What do you mean the information was out?
It said that the information is already out there. So somebody prepped him and told him that the information is out there.
No. I'm saying it leaked on that day. On Wednesday
during the game
or Friday,
but
it leaked.
I was told that people had the information in the locker room, like media had it already.
People knew.
People knew
during the game they were talking about it.
Okay.
And so his guys told him when he came back, look, everybody already knows you got to
take care of yourself.
So you could. Not having a cast on for 15 more minutes wouldn't have been it's not going to put your hand in danger. And again, I'm not with Jason on this. I'm just saying that's my only criticism is it was just a bad look.
It's excuse making. It's look, he's not the leader and the competitor that a lot of other champions are. That's what he's a great player.
Disagree.
One of the 2 or 3 greatest players of all time. But as a leader and a competitor, he falls short in comparison to a lot of other guys. And if some people use that to justify in backing him up in how they rank the players.
He did play all 82 games, had the most minutes in the finals. Is it possible that he was like, this series is over, I'm going home, I played the most minutes, we got our butt kicked, I'm just going to put it on, it's irrelevant.
Is it possible?
We got swept. It wasn't like a Game 7 where he missed the final shot. You know, my hand, they got rolled. He played 82 games. He played the most minutes in the playoffs. Like durability, he plays.
He didn't play all that hard, and his team didn't play all that hard in Game 4.
See, that's where I think
Travesty.
Michael Jordan beat up a teammate, Steve Kerr.
Right.
And everybody wants to say, you know, LeBron's not a great leader.
I think he
Jordan
deserved
was.
it.
Different types of leadership.
It's
different type
you
of
said
leadership
LeBron
that are
only took
available.
13 shots. He didn't try hard. Eastern Conference Finals 1989, 2-2 series at Detroit against Detroit. Michael Jordan takes 8 shots. 8 shots. Kobe Bryant against Phoenix. Just stop shooting. Just to pout. I'm not going to shoot in the second half. That doesn't stick to them. Why does this stuff stick to LeBron? Why aren't they viewed as non-competitive?
Because his standard is here.
Michael, where's Michael's standard at?
But we didn't have social media. Michael was worshipped.
He's a different type of leader. He leads in a different capacity. He leads by example on and off the court. He should be applauded for how he leads in the community, in the locker room, and on the court. Like he doesn't get texts. He doesn't lose his mind. He never embarrasses.
He doesn't lose his mind.
He doesn't
but
embarrass
he slammed his
himself
hand into a chalkboard.
And we would have never known it unless he told you or the media found out. But he never disrespects
He threw a
his
tantrum
teammates
on the
himself.
sideline in front of, with the cameras rolling. That's
a part of competition. He never punched anybody. He never assaulted anybody. He never did anything.
He got the best out of
teammates.
Steve Kerr. Steve Kerr hit the shot because he was scared.
Steve Kerr hit a shot. Steve Kerr's missed shot. Steve Kerr hit a shot, not because Michael knocked him out. Please, honestly,
I'm halfway joking, but maybe if Kyle Korver was a little afraid of LeBron, he would have made more than one shot in this series.
Kyle Korver's afraid of the moment. Forget me. All right, welcome back. Dante Jones and Chris Broussard are back. Let's move to Kevin Durant, who just cruised to a second straight NBA title, second straight Finals MVP. Good for KD. Last couple of years, Durant, who's faced critics who say joining the Warriors was the easy way out. But KD just offered a different perspective, saying, quote, hey, I feel like it's easy to be the best player when you don't have good players around you. I feel like it's harder to stand out when you have great players around you. I pride myself on standing out wherever I am. Whitlock, is Durant taking a shot at LeBron?
Tiny, yeah. I can't. I disagree with it completely. I think what Kevin Durant has done the last 2 years in comparison to what LeBron has done the last 2, there's just no comparison. If I'm a great player, blessed with the skills that Kevin Durant has, and I get to play with Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and all that space they create, as opposed to what LeBron faces on a daily basis, it's preposterous. And so Kevin wants to challenge LeBron as the greatest player playing right now. There's just no comparison. It's laughable.
Am I crazy to suggest he was taking a shot at Westbrook, too?
Oh, yeah, I think he was doing that for sure.
Because I've seen LeBron adjust. I've seen LeBron join great players. Remember, Kyrie left LeBron. LeBron didn't leave Kyrie. So to me, what he's saying is, I don't think he's taking a shot at LeBron. I think we all know LeBron likes to play with other great players. LeBron's leaving Cleveland right now. He wouldn't if he had better players. I think he's taking a little shot again at Westbrook, which is, all right, you score 50, but you can't play with great guys. I think everybody knows LeBron plays with great players very well.
When LeBron was in Miami with 2 other great players, he won 2 MVP awards, 2 championships. So that kind of shuts this down. And also, in knowing their relationship, I'm not saying they're best friends, but they have a good, respectful relationship for each other. It would be hard for me to see KD taking that type of shot at LeBron. Now, I do think there's a part of KD that was in defense mode. Because, you know, he knows people are, it's the easy way out. Of course, you're winning championships. I think this was a little defense mechanism of, hey, it's harder actually to shine with great players than with poor players. But I don't think he was taking a shot at LeBron.
I'm hoping he wasn't taking a shot at LeBron because that statement was just false in general because they ultimately magnify his talent, as you said.
Yeah.
They give him spacing to play one-on-one, one of the top 2 one-on-one players, him and Kyrie, And if Kyrie had the spacing that he had, like, it would be the same situation. Like, you can't guard them one-on-one. You can send defenders, but when you have like the best shooting cast of all time around you, then it's going to be damaged no matter who's guarding you. You can't send anyone. You send somebody off Draymond, he passes the ball well, he makes plays. Like, you have a cast that magnifies your talent. It's not easier to hold the responsibility that LeBron James hold for winning and losing, because when you lose, they blame Steph, they blame Steve. They don't ultimately go directly to you.
And I think to Dante's point, we've seen this with Kobe Bryant. Kobe may have gotten frustrated with Shaq, but Kobe was really frustrated post-Shaq, pre-Gasol.
Right.
He still takes shots at Smush. You know, there's an old saying is, guys want to be the man, they don't want to be the only man. And it's fun. It's like when if you took a job just for money. First couple of checks, you're like, woo! After about the third check, you're like, I hate my job. So you can't go a place for money, and I don't think you can go to a place just to be the only guy. And I think it is easier in Golden State.
It's a lot easier. Look, man, I compare it to any type of entertainer. When you take the stage solo the way Michael Jackson did,
right,
and you have to command the audience, that's a lot harder than being in the Jackson 5. And so, and that's why LeBron, again, and I get it. I have my criticisms of LeBron, but I get and understand his greatness. And, you know, I'll disagree with y'all a little bit. I think LeBron has a bit of a problem playing with other stars. That's why they didn't win not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 titles in Miami, because LeBron is Michael Jackson. And he'll move to L.A. and maybe bring Chris Paul and Paul George with him, and he'll figure out again, he'll get restless. Like, man, I like that solo act. Because that's who LeBron is at the end of the day. And we can knock him for it, or we can understand when you got that many gifts, you kind of need a bigger solo stage.
What I think is that I don't think LeBron is going to, I got to be the man, I don't want them to shine. But I think Kevin Durant's game is better suited to playing with other stars than LeBron. LeBron lifts mediocre players to really high levels. Good ones he doesn't make worse, but, you know, Kyrie got the shine, Dwayne Wade got the shine. But Kevin Durant, because he can catch and shoot, he can move without the ball. His game, he's just a better scorer. His game is better suited to, like, he went to Golden State and for the most part just fit in.
Right.
LeBron, if LeBron had gone to Golden State instead of Durant, now they'd be phenomenal, but it'd be a much different style of play. They'd be playing off LeBron, and he'd be kicking it out to Steph and Clay.
Imagine that.
And there would be grumbling pains.
But it wouldn't be like free-flowing, smooth offense.
But there would be grumbling pains just like there were initially in Miami. Dwayne Wade had to adjust.
LeBron's grown up dominating the ball.
Oh, no, because you could put the ball in LeBron James' hand, and who's going to leave to help? You're not going to leave off Steph. You're not going to leave off Clay. You might try with Draymond, but he can go through the second guy. He just can't go through the third guy. So you'd be sending one defender at LeBron except for his defender. It'd be layups all day long. Like,
Dante,
it would work,
I'm not a
way
basketball
better.
player by any stretch, but the fun of basketball is having that ball in your hand. And every great player, every great player wants the ball. Not every great player wants to be catch and shoot and blah, blah. They love having that ball in their hand.
I think he likes having the ball in his hands for parts of the game, but he likes giving the ball to someone that can do something with it. He doesn't have the personnel to give it up to somebody.
I'm talking about Steph.
Right, I think the ball would
KD,
still move, but you could go to somebody.
They wouldn't have it as long, and there would be grumblings, just like Dwayne Wade struggled.
By the way,
they look the same way with Kevin Durant at times against Houston. When he dominated the ball too much, it was like, hey,
by the way,
this isn't Golden State.
How do we know there are not grumblings here? David West comes out after the game and says,
I know.
you guys have no idea what we're going through. This is not as easy in the locker room as people think.
All right, welcome back. We're joined now by Fox NFL analyst Tony Gonzalez and the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to Terrell Owens, who continues to take heat for announcing that he would blow off his own Hall of Fame induction ceremony this August, including some strong words from another Hall of Fame receiver, Michael Irvin.
It's bigger than him. First of all, yes, people are going to take this and say, well, this is exactly what we were talking about. T.O. couldn't get along with any team that he's been on, and now he's on the ultimate team, and here he is again doing the same thing. He can't get along with his Hall of Fame teammates, you know, and people are going to say that, and listen, hey, when you start making these kinds of decisions, that stuff carrying has merit to it. But my biggest disappointment is there are going to be other guys that come after you that people are going to have thoughts and questions about. And when you do this, I think it affects their opportunity to getting in the hall as well.
All right, Cowherd, do you have an issue with how T.O. is handling this?
Well, it's not unexpected. You've said on this show before, disappointment comes from expectations. This is what I would expect. I confronted him last week on my show. He's needy, he's high maintenance. He says he's passionate. I think skipping this is needy. By the way, Axl Rose skipped the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So did David Bowie. So did Kiss, the band. Hall of Fame.
They weren't first ballot?
Well, Hall of Fames are the biggest stars. Athletes, to some degree, are artists. We've seen political speeches, anger, not showing up for certain inductions by Hollywood actors and actresses and rock stars and athletes. And we just knew this what he is. So to your point, expectations. For me, I kind of figured this is what he'd do.
Yeah, I kind of figured this is what he would do, but I think Michael Irvin makes a tremendous point about the potential impact on others coming in behind him and people feeling justified in holding personal grudges or the things that I've always said I didn't think he was a great fit for the Hall of Fame. Others have said his numbers justify, just put him in. Now people that want to evaluate other things than numbers will use T.O. as justification. And then my other concern was just like the Hall of Fame induction ceremony is about a celebration of all the people that helped you get there. It's really not about the athlete. The athlete gets rewarded with money and fame, and he's going to have a bus there. That day actually is, generally speaking, a celebration of everyone else. And then the third thing I would add is just I'm growing concerned, and I want to be very careful moving forward with my criticism of T.O. T.O. doesn't seem happy. He attacked myself and Michael Irvin over Twitter pretty viciously. And it's not that it hurt me. It made me concerned about him. Is he in a happy, good place? You're into the Hall of Fame, and you're coming at me. And so I don't want to be in some sort of dispute that's causing T.O. more unrest and more pain or discomfort. I want to be more careful.
I mean, listen, I know this is the T.O. we've always seen. This is a guy who, while he was playing, had a reality show on VH1. Like, I don't think any other athletes had his own specific reality show. And Terrell Owens, he's always wanted the spotlight. He's been, as you said, needy. This is a guy who is trying to upstage Randy Moss and other great guys going into the weekend, make it all about him. I would agree he's probably got some demons, and it's a little scary. And I would add, I believe this is like the beginning of something with social media. Terrell Owens has been told on social media, he's great, you're amazing, you're above the Hall of Fame. We're seeing people some of these institutions being attacked, like the media, the courts. Big picture, we're going to start to see some of these social media athletes starting to think, like, man, I'm above the Hall of Fame. Yeah. Yellow jacket, that's nice. I'm bigger than that.
That's tough.
Well, you guys bring up a good point. I never even thought about it. Yeah, is he really in that much pain, different than what it was 15 years ago when he was playing? It was still the same stuff that was going on. I don't know if I'd be too concerned, but you never know. But the way I look at it right now, if he doesn't want to go, don't come. Don't go then. In fact, guys that are reaching out to T.O. saying you should really think about this, maybe you should reconsider. My point would be like, you know what? You're a grown man. I have little kids. I always try to talk them into doing something that I want them to do. And, for the betterment of them. They don't even know any better. But they're little kids. This is a grown man. Let him make this decision and then move on. And I wouldn't even, if I'm Randy Moss or Ray Lewis or whatever, I'd be like, I'm not talking about this. This is who this guy is. Let him go. He's making a choice. Respect his wishes. Yeah. Don't come and don't talk about it.
Listen, because it's sports, and in sports, everybody wears a jersey for a city. We feel like we've got ownership of this stuff. Hall of Fames have had divas and rock stars and skipping and rudeness, and this is what Hall of Fames are.
We can't think of another sports Hall of Famer that skipped the induction ceremony. I want to try to end this on a lighter note. This started with T.O. inviting me to have donuts and milk with him, and so I said yes. that I would. And you know, I don't know if T.O.'s going to do it, but T.O., if you're watching, I'm having donuts. Randy Moss also teased me about this.
Because
about
T.O. has been banging on you to lose weight.
To lose weight. And this would be my response to his suggestion that I lose weight.
Eat a cake donut? I don't think
share those, Jason?
Those look really good.
That's not a great start. All right, to Baltimore, where it hasn't taken long for Lamar Jackson to abandon the quarterback or bust stance he adopted during the draft, lining up at different positions during Ravens practices this offseason. Now, during the combine, Lamar made it clear he had no interest in moving to wide receiver, even refused to run the 40 to make his point. Whitlock, is this proof that Lamar botched the lead up to the draft?
1,000%. And I'm about to do something that's illegal in major media, mainstream media today. I'm going to try to give a black kid some more good advice because he took some horrible advice before the draft. And people tried to say, hey, man, go ahead and run the 40. Show off your best gift. Acknowledge that you're willing to play other positions. How many millions of dollars did this kid and his mother and all the people gassing him up with bad advice, anybody that questioned the decisions he was making was a racist or an idiot, and how dare you question Lamar Jackson? If he had said from the outset, I'm willing to play other positions early in my career, he may have been the 15th pick or the 12th pick, or who knows if he had run the 40 and created that excitement. His teammates are now screaming, oh, we got a baby Michael Vick. Where did Michael Vick go in the draft? #1 overall. That's a lot of money he just threw away to be the 32nd pick. And look, he's going to make good money, but he threw away a lot of money.
Colin, he's a really good kid. I had the good fortune of getting to cover him in college, and I don't think there's any question he's a really solid guy. But that doesn't mean that the people around you are solid guys. And maybe you do take some bad advice, and maybe you don't do what you should be doing. My point on this was watching what Mickey Loomis and Sean Payton decided not to do when they passed on him.
They couldn't get a hold of him, Tim.
As a potential backup for Drew Brees, who's about to turn 40, Lamar Jackson has all the goods that a guy like Sean Payton would love to dabble with, would love to play with. That's the kind of guy you would possibly want to have.
Called him 7 times.
When they
didn't get a return call.
When they passed on him, that told me, what? How could this be going on? Because he made perfect sense for down the road. Nobody better to work under than Drew. Drew's not going to play Tom Brady on that kid. And ultimately, I think Ozzie just did what he felt he needed to do. And I agree with you, by the way. I don't think it's the right place for him. John Harbaugh's just trying to make it look good for Flacco's sake. To say, hey, we'll make you play together now.
Let me argue for Lamar Jackson, though. I wish he would have run the 42.
Yep.
Listen, if God gave you tools, show them off. It doesn't matter if it's the brain.
He can run.
He hide my good looks.
Yes,
exactly.
exactly. But let me defend Lamar on this. Deshaun Watson, a year before he came out, said, hey, I'm not a running quarterback. I'm going to be a pocket guy. And what he was doing is what leaders do. They verbalize their mission. All you GMs out there, no. I'm going to sit in the pocket and throw darts. I can run, but that's what I do. I loved it. Lamar Jackson said, listen, I'm going to be a quarterback because leaders talk. I have not heard the kid at Buffalo talk.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, it's Marcus Mariota. He's nonverbal at a verbal position. Lamar told you, you got to draft me to be a quarterback. If you don't give me that, don't draft me. I like that. Now,
Cost
the mom,
money.
No, the mom thing, odd, won't run the 40, didn't like it. But I'm going to back a kid who there's reason Warren Moon had to go to Canada. There have been stereotypes with the athletic quarterback, and he said, time out.
Michael Vick, #1, Cam Newton, #1.
Well, Michael Vick is better.
That's in the past.
Yeah, but I think Michael Vick was an all-time unique talent. I think Lamar's a little bit of a project. A little bit of a project.
Look, I side with you on this, Colin. I think that when you step out and say, this is who I am, this is who I'm expecting you to use me as and what to use me as a quarterback, that sets the precedent. That doesn't mean that when I get in-house, I'm not going to utilize my assets to the value of the team. That means nothing once I get in the building. To your point, I think the team that he had around him hurt him more than anything. Him not running the 40, in my opinion, probably was most detrimental because That's your number one asset. Your
Absolutely.
speed, your agility, your ability to extend plays, get outside the pocket. You're not supposed to shun from that. You showcase that.
Of course.
And so his lack of wanting to showcase that because of fear of potentially being sought at or seen as this versatile slash guy, receiver, slash halfback, all these other different opportunities, it would have benefited him, but to Colin's point, he set a precedent. This is who I'm going to be.
But what do you make of the spin now, though, fellas, from Harbaugh? Oh, well, what if we put two guys out there that can both pass the ball? I don't know if I'm Lamar Jackson that's necessarily what I want to hear. And if I'm Joe Flacco, I don't think that's what I want to hear.
That's an interesting point. I just want to go back to the money that he cost himself here, Greg. You get one shot at being drafted, and you know better than anybody. You went in the second round. Once you're slotted lower than what your talents are, you're always playing catch up financially.
Absolutely.
A guy at the top of the draft that didn't pay as much, didn't perform at your level, might still end up making more money. Lamar Jackson has cost himself money. His mother and all the media that gave him bad advice. Because here's something, and this is where I would put a little blame on NFL people. They should have known the guy would play other positions, because there's no competitor that wants to stand on the sidelines when they can be on the field.
And that's my point. When you get in-house, what you've said, that goes, I don't care about, that goes out the window now. Because now it's about, I want to play. If I recognize that I'm not going to play at the number one spot that I thought I should, then what's next?
I don't think he lost as much as you think. Remember, the last quarterback to make a fortune with the old CBA was, I think, either Jamarcus Russell or Sam Bradford. I think it was Bradford.
It might be.
Then they reworked the CBA
Yeah,
because you can't pay a rookie that much money. It's not as daunting now. I sat in the Chargers draft room. I'm not going to tell you what they said, but there were about 8 guys that were going to go top 8 to 10. He wasn't in that group. So he went last pick in the first round. Even if he'd have said, I'll do anything, he wasn't going top 8.
Yeah.
If he had run the 40 and said, I'll do anything, I don't know, man.
I
That's a game changer.
In your world, he may have gone 12th.
No.
12th to 32nd.
That dude runs a 4.27 and says, I'll do anything.
But he doesn't.
Somebody may take him number 5.
There were a lot of good players in this first round. I mean, you're going to take him above Derwin James at Florida State?
4.27. The dude's won the Heisman Trophy. You've seen him electric when he has the football. His teammates on the Baltimore Ravens, a good defensive team, are sitting out there like, oh, my God, this is Vic 2.0.
There's something about that 40. That 40 carries a lot of weight.
I'm with Jason on that. I am.
There's a reason I wear tight shirts. I want people to see that my gifts. You know what I mean? You got to show off your gifts. All right, let's move to the NFL and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have had no shortage of drama this offseason. And not surprisingly, some of it centered around the gifted Antonio Brown. The star wide receiver skipped voluntary OTAs, but showed up to minicamp this week armed with an interesting explanation.
I can't go nowhere and work out by myself. Fans come meet me at the field. You know, I can't do nothing normal. You know, you guys write about me every day. My mom, my kids see it. So we have to deal with these type of things, you know. And I started to think to myself, am I really free? You know, I can't really express myself in this game. I can't really tell you guys how I feel. You guys make the pressure to put pressure on me all the time. Am I really free? You know, and I go to asking myself that, being in regards to taking away time from my kids and everything that's going on. So I had to get away to, you know, free my mind.
All right, interesting. Whitlock, is Antonio as big a distraction as Odell Beckham Jr. in New York?
I don't know if he's as big a distraction, but he's moving that direction. He's just as silly, that explanation he just gave. Here's a guy that does Facebook Lives from playoff games and is all over social media trying to draw attention to himself, showboats on the field, trying to make a spectacle of himself, but it's all the media's fault. He can't go anywhere, and he's not really free. He's Meek Brown. And he's not, I mean, it's silly. And yes, he wants to be as big a distraction as Odell Brown, and he's working his way, Odell Beckham, he's working his way that direction.
I don't think he is, and I'll tell you why. Because the New York Giants, if they were a clothing store, they're Brooks Brothers. They are conservative, blue blood, older fan base. Odell Beckham stands out. He's whizzing on the end zone. He's proposing to a net. He is off-brand. I got to be honest with you. The Steelers brand There's a lot of noise. Todd Haley screaming at Big Ben. Big Ben is a little bit of a drama king. Le'Veon Bell's funny, but he wants this. Antonio Brown, even Juju Smith-Schuster. He's the most he's funny. He's all over social media.
Juju's great. He laid out perfect. I love him.
Odell Beckham turned into the honey badger when he went pro. The honey badger actually went conservative when he went pro. I mean, think about that. The image change. The image change of Odell Beckham. I mean, when he was in college, this was a straight arrow. He and Jarvis Landry on either side, good guys, really leaders, never thought of any issues whatsoever. I mean, I did several of their games, got to know him well, and I know Odell's parents. I mean, these are...
Odell on the same level, Antonio Brown on the same level as Odell in terms of distraction.
Well,
in terms of
only because he's in Pittsburgh rather than New York. You're absolutely right about that. I mean, there's absolutely... If you think for 1 second that you're not free playing in Pittsburgh, that is a walk in the park compared to what you're going to go through in New York. And by the way, that's why Eli was the better quarterback for New York than Peyton would have been. Peyton needed to be in Indianapolis because he would probably react differently as a younger player, you know?
I think I think Pittsburgh's new vibe is we talk a lot. It's a little, I think Mike Tomlin is very emotion-driven. He's kind of Pete Carroll. It's like players are empowered, players talk.
You like that honey badger
Antonio
thing.
Brown is no distraction, man. He's no distraction. This is typical wide receiver.
Diva stuff?
Diva flash.
Okay.
And for
You didn't do this, Greg.
I didn't. I was a different type of guy. Like I'm
working on him in television.
I was more
I'm
of the
trying to
Larry
get him to become a diva.
Fitzgerald, Andre Johnson, just keep your mouth shut, do your job type of guy.
Yeah.
When I look at Antonio Brown, and I listen, AB, like I want to 100% support him, but his explanation kind of threw me for a loop when he's extremely flashy. Like you've caused attention to be drawn to yourself by not even some of the things you say, just the things that you do, the cars you drive, the outfits you wear, the things that you do are going to cause attention drawn to you. But for us to say that he's as big of a distraction as Odell Beckham, he's not. And here's why I say he's not, because Odell Beckham came into this league and he made a splash immediately. First round, 12th overall pick, and made a splash first couple years, record book setting. Antonio Brown didn't even touch the football field outside of special teams really until his third year in the league. So it kind of evolved over time, and he's always smiled. He's always done things the right way. So when he does anything that's diva-ish, we're gonna put a microscope on it and a flashlight on it because it's Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
When we do in football.
When we do word association, when I think of Odell Beckham, I think one-hand catch, kicking net, boat.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Playoff drops.
Okay, when I think of Antonio Brown, I'm like, catches against Jacksonville, one-hander.
Right.
I think football stuff.
Football player.
It's all football.
I think a little Facebook Live in the locker room. You
little.
think about that. You think about all the dancing and gyrating on the field. You think about a guy that's always trying to push the envelope. What cleats can I wear with little messages on them? To me, he's a better player than Odell Beckham.
By the way, Colin, the reason why you think what you think about him is because he's in Pittsburgh, where it is all about football. Pittsburgh's about the Steelers.
Yeah.
That's it. In New York, it's about usually all the drama before the game is played. And the Giants are fighting for, even though they're the Giants and they are clearly the kingpin franchise, there are so many other franchises. There's Yankees. You're having to share the limelight with a lot of people. In Pittsburgh, he should own that place. And this notion that, I'm not free, and please, stop. Let's go to Media 101 from the NFL. They have a little clinic for that before you get into the league. You're not going to make your point by saying it that way.
I just don't want to. I don't want either one of these guys to change who they are and what they do. This is why they are special, because of who they are and what they. If Odell Beckham
aren't why they're special.
If Odell Beckham stops doing all the one-handed catches and putting on the show pregame, the fans aren't getting. It's like Steph Curry in pregame. The fans get there just to see that.
Yeah. Steph Curry's got championships. This time of year brings us two things: graduations and Father's Day, and the gifts that go along with them. Before you buy Dad another tie or that grad a balloon that will probably float away, ask yourself this: does my dad or grad like wings or sports, or better yet, both? If the answer is yes, then get them a Buffalo Wild Wings gift card. Right now, if you purchase $30 worth or more in-store or online, they'll give you a $5 bonus to keep for yourself. That's a gift that gives back. How generous of you. Buffalo Wild Wings. Wings, beer, sports. Terms and conditions apply. All right, welcome back. We're joined now by Fox NBA analyst Chris Broussard and the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to the Ball family, who are making things interesting for the Lakers once again, with Lonzo dropping a diss track aimed at teammate Kyle Kuzma this week that reportedly had Lakers brass doing a double take. Naturally, LeVar didn't make things better, telling Colin on the Herd yesterday that Lonzo and Kuzma aren't that close.
I can't be close if you're telling me, hey, LeVar, and you talk all craziness, hey, I like you. Now, wait a minute, I'm going to come, hey, the ball in me going to allow me to get in the rage. And that's what it did. But it's not going to affect Lonzo's plan or nothing like that.
But he and Kyle are not that close.
Well, I wouldn't be that close. He just met him.
They're not that. You're saying they're not.
I'm saying they're not that close to me. You can't be that close. You just met this guy.
All right, Cowherd, did LeVar hurt Lonzo's relationship with the Lakers?
No, I think Lonzo has to be culpable. Okay, Lonzo's a smart player. Okay, he plays with a kind of sophisticated sense of get the ball up. People like to play with him. Okay, you're doing diss track stuff with a teammate. You're part of this video. By the way, you didn't come off a Ben Simmons year, a Jason Tatum year, a Donovan Mitchell year. You came off a year where half the people on this set were calling you a bust 2 months in. You got to be aware here. You got to know you can do this stuff. Westbrook's got an MVP. Durant's got finals. You are, in the eyes of a lot of people, an enigma, a mystery, and still potentially a bust.
A daddy's boy.
I mean, Lonzo's got to own something. You can't blame LeVar for all this stuff. Lonzo's now a grown man. You got to own some of this.
I would agree, but I eventually blame LeVar because an apple doesn't fall far from a tree. And so what you're looking at is a pretty good reflection of LeVar. And LeVar came on your show yesterday, and I kind of thought the Kuzma-Lonzo thing was just a joke between friends. And then hearing LeVar, I say, well, hold on, maybe there is something to it. Because if you remember right, when LeVar criticized Luke Walton, Kuzma was Luke Walton's biggest defender. At the end of the year, Kuzma was the guy that said on the record that, hey, I think LeVar made it hard on his son early in his career with all the hype. And so I think if there's an issue here, LeVar's got a problem with Kuzma. The son is so attached to his dad that he's got a problem with Kuzma to some degree.
It's possible LeVar might have a problem with Kuzma. Kuzma was on my podcast a month ago. He said he and Lonzo were very tight, that was his best friend on the Lakers. And if you look at them on social media, this is what they do. They go back and forth at each other. That's why I asked the question. I was like, are y'all cool? Because on the outside, you might not know, is this joking around or what? He said that's his best friend. That's what they do. They joke with each other.
Pac and Biggie were friends.
Well,
seriously, at one point.
Look, I don't know this for a fact. I think LeVar may not know how close they are. He said, how can he be close? He just met him. So he's not around them. They're around each other every day. I think LeVar looks at close as LiAngelo and Melo and Lonzo. Family. Everything's about family with them. They're not that close, but I think these two are close. The one problem I see potentially is the diss track when he said, you don't know your daddy, you getting son. Now, my guess is that Lonzo thought he was being clever, and it was kind of a clever line. You don't know your daddy, but now you getting son. The question is, how does Kuzma take it? That's the one. Now, he might, if he takes it seriously, we got a problem.
From a different zip code to me, that never landed well in my zip code.
That would never be.
No, I looked at it. It didn't. I thought it was. As soon as I heard it, it made me cringe.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, you look at the way he put the words together. Yeah. That was clever, but no.
So we don't know. When LeVar was on your show and he was talking about all this nonsense with Kuzma, Was that coming from the locker room? Is this coming from Lonzo? Do we know if Lonzo's saying, oh, we're just friends on social media? I just wonder, this is so unbecoming of the Lakers franchise. Remember, 3 years ago, D'Angelo Russell got into that whole thing with Nick Young and that female rap artist, and it was just like Iggy Azalea.
Used to be my neighbor, by the way.
That's good information.
It was a mess.
That's a disaster. I mean, we're talking about the Lakers, the marquee franchise in NBA history, and you got social media nonsense, you got rap track disses. We think Lonzo could be out of town, right? And LeBron's coming in. Do you think LeBron, who just saw his teammate, A.S.Smith, throw soup at a coach, wants to deal with LeVar Ball and Lonzo Ball and diss tracks?
Listen, this was my take yesterday. It's not everything, but it's something. Listen, LeBron doesn't like playing with young guys. Jason, he had a chance to Wiggins. He's like, no, I'll take the less athletic Kevin Love. That Miami team, Battier, Miller, Ray Allen, that was an old folks' home. He doesn't like young guys. These young guys look even younger doing this diss track stuff. We have a history and a precedent with LeBron.
I know
he likes veterans.
A lot of these NBA guys have gone off and done rap albums and movies, you know, Shaq. They had accomplished something. Lonzo Ball wasn't even first team all rookie. Okay? He was pretty bad, 30%.
Kobe did his rap album pretty early. You know, and I'm not comparing him to Kobe.
Okay.
I'm just saying, like, to me, I don't have a problem with them doing a rap video or whatever. You got a ton of free time as a player, and you use it how you want. As long as it doesn't affect your game, you're still working on it. Like I said, to me, there's one potential problem. The line about Kuzma's dad.
I think there's two potential problems. The line about Kuzma's dad, and then just, I thought the whole dissecting the rap lyrics, I thought it was all a reflection of things that LeVar potentially could say. Because the whole thing about the tattoos, the tattoos. Because I've heard a lot of guys that are fathers, any of these kids that don't have fathers, they tat themselves up because they're looking for an identity.
You know who has a tattoo now?
Yeah, I know now.
Lonzo and LiAngelo.
And he was on record yesterday on Colin's show. He doesn't like tattoos or whatever. And so I just thought a lot of that diss, and then talking about how he doesn't know his daddy is, it seemed a little personal. It was out of bounds, and it's a reflection of LeVar.
By the way, Kyle Kuzma was supposed to dump. Is that what the kid's
saying?
He was going to
drop today.
Drop.
There it is.
Drop.
Sorry, he was going to drop his diss track today. He hasn't.
I bet you his advisors are like, look.
Move on.
And hold on, but more than that, if he doesn't, that could signify he's taking this seriously. That it's not a joke to him, right?
It never lands well. The joke about someone's father, that never.
For the Warriors, who celebrated their latest championship with a parade in Oakland yesterday, the title marks the second now for Kevin Durant since he joined the Warriors. And this one was even easier than last year's, which, according to former NBA player Jared Dudley, hasn't been great for Durant's image.
When KD won, even KD said, hey, even KD in an interview said, hey, I was looking for validation. I was looking for it after winning out. And overall, I still felt empty. I think I don't want to say those are exact quotes, but you got to look at the article he had and saying that how he thought that winning a championship would fill a void, but it didn't. And the reason why the championship didn't fill a void is because it came so easy.
That's interesting. Would you respect KD more if he left the Warriors?
Let me give you the quote in context where KD said, I needed that validation from my peers and teams and GMs, people that are really into the game to really help me feel good about myself and help me feel confident and let me know that what I was doing was working. I think Jared Dudley made a great point. I think that was on your radio show. I think he made a great point. And I do think if he wants that ultimate validation, if he wants to be on LeBron's level, he needs to choose a harder path than cherry-picking a couple of titles off a 73-9 team.
I don't know. You don't leave unity and winning. Man, listen, the easier way.
There was.
My whole life, I've been trying to find an easier way to make money. Do I need validation? By the way, TV's a lot easier than writing another column for the Kansas City Star. You seem to be making more money working less. You don't go on road trips. You go to steakhouses.
Let me say this. If they would pay me what I can make in TV to write, I'd be writing.
Yeah, but they don't, so you get on TV. I think easier. What's wrong with easier?
No, Colin Whitlock's right. Kevin Durant needs to go to Orlando and win a title, and then, I'll be impressed with Kevin Durant. Is that where we're headed?
No,
He's got to go to like Charlotte? I mean, no, guys, seriously. We need to look at this from sacrifice. And I know you're going to laugh when you hear this, but Kevin Durant was the man in OKC. Took all the shots, won 4 scoring titles.
Not all the shots.
He had to sacrifice a lot of his game. Fewer minutes, fewer shots, and play better defense. He averaged career highs in assists and blocks this year, playing with the Warriors. He had to sacrifice his offense and find other parts of his game to improve as an overall player.
If you
I
played
love
with
what
the
he did.
Warriors, you'd have career highs too.
Look, first of all, it was my radio show. I like the way you took credit.
Oh, it was both. I mean, you had him on
both?
later.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. It's a matter of degrees. When LeBron James won 2 rings in Miami, everybody gave him respect and praise. But he goes to Cleveland, wins 1, and that one meant more to everybody. If you were dating Tamron Hall, we give you mad respect, but we said, but she ain't Halle Berry. He ain't.
Yeah.
Now, it would be like, oh, Halle might be better, but you still good with Tamron Hall. And Durant is still good. Okay.
Reverse.
All right, whatever. You get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Durant is still good he gets respect, okay? 2 rings. But there's no doubt, if he went back this summer to Oklahoma City and won the title there, you're going to tell me it wouldn't be even greater. That 1 title in OKC wouldn't be more impressive.
Well, wait,
than
are you
these
going to
2.
let him in OKC have free reign of the roster the way LeBron said, okay, I'll take Kevin Love. We got Kyrie Irving.
LeBron was one move.
Yeah, he orchestrated it all.
That team still wasn't as good as Golden State. But they got over the hump and they got a ring.
By the way,
whatever it meant, it's degrees.
Draymond Green?
All rings are not created equal. That's all I'm saying.
Baseball players wouldn't sacrifice a nickel.
Why are we bringing baseball in?
Because Kevin Durant is like, I'll give up money and points.
We don't talk
Winning
about
is not as big in baseball because it's so dependent on so many other players.
I look at Kevin Durant sacrifice money, shots, the ball. What about those sacrifices?
All we're saying, I don't think you're saying these don't mean anything. He gets mad respect and praise for winning these 2. I'm just saying if he won 1 elsewhere where he didn't have Steph and Draymond and Clay, and they hadn't won a championship right before him, he would get even more. Even more.
Kevin Durant and Dirk Nowitzki have very similar games. Who do you respect more?
Me,
Well,
Dirk.
Durant's just a better player.
Come on, Jim.
He's just a better
He said
player.
respect. He didn't say who was the better player. He said who I respect more. Dirk Nowitzki.
You know the man spent 8 years next to Russell Westbrook? Nobody can spend
Hold on,
that long.
stop acting like that's
Come
torture.
on.
Russell Westbrook's a Hall of Famer, please.
Oh,
Relax.
But
They
by the
got
way,
to the NBA
he'll be in
Finals.
his own wing.
All right, welcome back. Tim Brando's here. Joining me now are a couple of former athletes turned golf nuts.
My guys.
Jim Jackson and Greg Jennings.
Oh, hoops.
All right, let's return to Tiger Woods, who is paired with the top 2 players in the world today in Dustin Johnson and Justin Thomas, and got off to an ugly start with a triple bogey on the first hole. The Tiger of old always seemed to thrive under pressure, but since coming back this year, he struggled when the pressure is on the most. I didn't like this pairing. I didn't like Tiger playing with the best players, the most talented. I think Justin Thomas was ranked number 1. I didn't like it because I don't think the new Tiger handles that pressure as well as the old Tiger. Actually, I think he struggles with it. Both of you guys have been in that situation, playing against the very best in the world. Your take on whether or not Tiger still rises to the occasion the way he used to?
I think he rises to the occasion. The way he used to, no. No, we have yet to see that. And I think the number one thing that stands out for me is his demeanor, the way he carries himself on the golf course after he's struck a bad shot or he's finding himself in that grind mode. His demeanor, his posture on that next shot is everything. When I see Tiger throwing his head back or swinging his club in disbelief, I don't like that because that tells me where he is mentally approaching the next shot, which is going to be even more critical than the shot he just took. But the pairing, I mentioned this yesterday kind of off air. I didn't care for the pairing. because Tiger, his pride sometimes gets in the way. He wants to still show that he can hit the ball a long way and hit the ball with these young guys. And we know that he can, but use your smarts. You're savvy. You're a veteran golfer. You've been around the block 1, 2, 3, 4 times. Use that to your advantage and get an edge in that way versus trying to outdistance these guys, because it's not going to happen.
Yeah, but the thing about it, when Tiger was winning and dominating, his biggest attribute was his mental approach to the game and how he approached it. Whether he was down or leading going into the final round, he was able to close things out. I think when he went through a lot of the iterations of his career, the divorce, the injuries, that mental part now became an enemy of him, because he tended to overthink. If you're changing your swing, every 2 to 3 years.
Which he did.
Okay, yeah. Now the mentality part is not the same. So when we see Tiger Woods now healthy, the health concern to me is the mental part of it. I don't care who he's playing with. Dustin Johnson, it could be Henry Stenson, whoever it is. It's not the same Tiger mentally. I don't care what the physical attributes are. Those things are going to show up. He can still hit the ball. He can still chip the ball. But the mentality is so different because he was a straight killer. I was watching a tournament one time when he was determined to go under par to make sure he didn't get a bogey. Yeah. He was up by 7 strokes. He made sure he hit a key shot on the green, a long putt, to make sure that in a critical moment, I may have to knock in this putt. I don't see that same mentality from Tiger, and that's what concerns me moving forward in regards to, can he win another major?
What we're seeing right now, okay, is that the players he's playing with today
are different.
They're different, okay? They're not fearful of him at all.
Right.
They're going flagstick hunting on every shot. The great players of the generation when Tiger was coming up were trying to get on the green, make some pars, get a check, and finishing second and third was okay. If you were making millions of dollars, even if you weren't winning, then you were doing pretty well. Tiger brought this mentality of, if I don't win, I'm unhappy. Well, the millennials that are out there, including the 2 he's playing with today, have that mentality. And he's the short knocker of the 3 that are out there today. So I go back to grinding, to your point, being immortal, okay, not being supernatural now, and winning. And that's something he's having to get accustomed to.
Tim, I want your reaction to this. Jim said something about Tiger, whether he was in front or behind, he always had the mental edge, the old Tiger. I slightly disagree, and I'm a big Tiger Woods homer. I've always thought Tiger was a bit of a front runner.
Oh, he is.
He doesn't have the come-from-behind victories that Jack Nicklaus has.
Right.
And again, he has majors.
Yeah.
He's got 19 victories when he's behind 54 holes. So he's had 19.
Right, but not in majors.
But not in,
and I think what happened, in the PGA when he lost to Wai Yang, when that happened, okay, that's when the wheels began to come off. And then the injuries mounted. That's the other thing. You look at where, the torque that he's generating, the speed in his swing with a fused back. My concern for Tiger Woods is his health. How long can he continue with that swing speed, Jim, and be successful? Because he is competing with those guys, and he's 43 years old.
I disagree. He's had the fusion surgery. I think his back's not the issue. I think Jim's point about the mental health is the key. Yeah. And then I go back to, again, and look, I love Tiger, but I've always thought this. He wasn't built for adversity. He's not.
I agree with you.
He's not Ray Lewis that came from the bottom and overcame a bunch of stuff and then became an all-time great.
Oh, but it was marketed that way back in the day.
Tiger,
Earl made sure of that.
You know what though?
God bless Earl, but he made sure of that.
I'm agree with you on this because he had the military background. We assume that he was mentally tough in that aspect, but not growing up and having that kind of adversity, kind of going through some ish. Yeah. When you're younger, to be able to deal with it and know how to navigate through it. When it hit Tiger, it hit him hard because he never had to navigate that. Here's the thing. When he didn't come back and play in the Phoenix Open, now it's the Waste Management, okay? When he came out of the divorce. There is more of a raucous crowd. You can hear everything. Tiger chose not to play. He wanted to come back to a safer environment, which was Augusta. Tiger heard all of the stuff going on, whereas before, he didn't hear it.
See, I hear all of that, and I agree, but I don't think you have to have this upbringing or this backdrop of stuff.
But it's a salient point.
It is a very valid point. Yeah. But for me, what made Tiger Tiger is, front runner or not, when he stepped on that tee box, he knew
I'm the best.
He was the best.
Yeah.
Right now, when he steps up to the tee or steps up on an approach shot or even on the green, tee to green.
Adversity.
Yeah, tee to green.
Jason's point.
To your point,
Glass
it's more
jaw.
mental
It's a glass
for him.
jaw.
You watch.
His wife took a 9-iron to his jaw, and he's never recovered. I love the dude, but he's never recovered mentally from that. And there's a lot of guys, I'm just telling you, look, man, some guys, it's like I'm built for adversity.
Right.
You can laugh at me, do whatever you want to do. Are you kidding me? I was in a one-bedroom apartment, me and my father, 400 square foot my senior year. I thought my world, I was the most popular kid in my school, living in the hood, sharing a one-bedroom apartment with nothing. I could care less about who's laughing. Tiger Woods has always cared who's laughing at him. And since they started laughing, he hasn't been the same mentally.
Jason, it's a selfish game. It's an individual game. When he was the best, he didn't care what anybody else thought, including his playing competitors. He stepped on the jugular like no one else did. Now his personal comeback is such that this is a much easier and affable guy to be with. He's treating the media beautifully, giving them more access than he's ever given. Can a normal, reconstructed personality of Tiger Woods go out and be the bulldog on the golf course to the extent that you want him to be? And for Tiger lovers that are watching this event only because Tiger's playing in it, I'm going to suggest you better get used to the new Tiger, because the old Tiger is a part of history.
That's why I don't think he's going to make the cut. Just very quickly, Jim, Greg, who do you like? What you've seen so far, who do you think could win this tournament?
Oh, I like Dustin. The way Dustin is playing with his swagger, his confidence coming off that win last week, like the way he's approaching it, tee to green, I heard you saying it earlier, his confidence is through the roof. He believes that he can make every ball strike and every putt.
Putting's better than ever.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
his confidence in the way he steps up to the putter, I like it.
About 20 seconds.
Well, with Dustin, from his perspective, he has to fight history. No player who has won a tournament before the U.S. Open has won a U.S. Open. So he's going to make history if he does that.
He's not even thinking about that.
But he's playing at another level right now. So I like, selfishly, Henry Stenson, because our pool, I had to bet on him. So selfishly, that's who I like.
His iron is kind right now.
Welcome back. LeBron James doesn't respect Kevin Durant and what he's accomplished. LeBron can't verbalize it. It would look petty and immature. It would cause the internet to melt. Myles Garrett is free to say it. Garrett is the second-year defensive end for the Cleveland Browns. He was the number 1 overall pick in the 2017 NFL Draft. This morning, I believe Garrett spoke on behalf of all of Cleveland, Akron, Northeast Ohio, and King James himself when he spoke the unmitigated truth about Kevin Durant's latest championship and NBA Finals MVP.
I mean, KD broke the league. You hopped onto a 73-9 team, and he took the easy way out, in my mind. It was different for when LeBron left. He kind of went to, Wade and Bosh, and it wasn't something that was already guaranteed, something that you already knew was going to have immediate success. You kind of had to gel and work things into place. But with KD, you just stick him in and he scores. I mean, you already knew what they had. They were 73-9 before, and you put the second best player in the world on a already all-time great team, and of course you're going to have success, and pretty easy success.
Mr. Coattails. That is Kevin Durant's legacy among his athletic peers. It's not a clickbait hot take from someone in the media looking for attention. It's a reflection of how Durant is viewed by other great athletes, including the greatest one playing now. Is it fair for me to attribute Garrett's opinion to LeBron? Maybe not. But I believe it's how LeBron feels. The number 1 pick in the NFL draft, who happens to play in Cleveland, surely knows and is friendly with James and some of the people around James. LeBron James is obsessed with his legacy and a pursuit of Michael Jordan's throne. Durant's Golden State success is a threat to James's legacy. Durant and Steph Curry could both end their careers with more titles than LeBron. Can't be the GOAT if you weren't the most dominant winner in your era. That's why Magic Johnson always ranks at least 1 spot ahead of Larry Bird. That's why Jordan ranks ahead of Magic. What Garrett verbalized is bigger than just Kevin Durant. It's about the whole Golden State dynasty. It's fraudulent. They cheated. The entire organization took the easy way out. Steph, Draymond, Steve Kerr, Durant, JaVale McGee, E40. Everybody's got choices. Did Durant make the right one? Durant made the one that undermines respect. I think Garrett's words this morning are significant on multiple levels. It's a window into LeBron's soul. LeBron's not going to Houston or Philly or San Antonio or any other already made team. LeBron believes there's a huge difference between what he did in Miami and the easy path chosen by Durant and Curry. Everybody's got choices. KD sold his soul for a title. All right, joining me now, former NBA player Jim Jackson, former NFL player Greg Jennings, and NBA analyst Chris Broussard. All LeBron apologists. Tell me why I'm wrong here. I mean, LeBron apologists, but tell me why I'm wrong here. LeBron, I don't think, has any respect for Kevin Durant.
Well, it's different because the path that LeBron took was, let me figure out how we need to win. Let me go somewhere. It's like going to Apple. I'm going to Apple right now. I'm going to learn from the best, and I'm going to start my own business. He went to Miami, learned how to win, took it back to Cleveland. So that, what you said before, his championship in Cleveland has more weight than what it does in Miami. To me, Kevin Durant has always been a player that has a 1A game, but the personality is a second-tier personality in regards to leading a team. His game is no doubt 1A, but who he wants to be as the man with all the pressure and shoulder to load, I don't think he's ever been that way. I think, too, what you said here about Golden State cheating, come on, you got to give them credit for this.
No, I don't.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't.
I'm going to tell you why.
No.
Listen, drafting Steph, when nobody understood exactly who he was as a point guard. Klay Thompson, Draymond Green. You also fill out your bench with Sean Livingston, West. All these moves that Harrison Barnes at the time. So they did an outstanding job of laying the groundwork to build to get to this
Title
point.
won, you're right. Title won.
But you said they're
2
fraud.
and 3
you put it all
is
together.
fraudulent.
You didn't say that. Why is it their fault?
I mean, every team is trying to be as good as they can. We always talk about we love Jordan, we love Kobe, we love Magic because they will put the foot on your neck. That's what Golden State did. They said, yeah, we're already the best. Now we're going to crush you, and we're going to win as many titles as we want. So I definitely can't blame them. As far as LeBron's respect for Durant, I do think he has the utmost respect for Durant. You saw how complimentary he was to him during the finals. Okay, I get it. But if he didn't respect him, he wouldn't have walked away and said, Rodney Hood, go ahead and stop him. That's respect. He didn't want to guard him at the end of the game. So he respects him. And while, yes, what Durant, I'll use this term even though I don't think it was a bad thing Durant did, while it was worse than what LeBron did when LeBron went to Miami, in principle, it was similar. Because LeBron said, I'm going to a stacked team. Everybody says, oh, they went out in the first round. He didn't go there by himself. He went with Chris Bosh, who was in the running for the best power forward in the league at that time. That Miami team was stacked. And they only won 2 out of 4. Durant at least has won both times. It'd be one thing if he went there and averaged 14 points a game and became a role player. He went there and became their best player. You have to give him respect.
Yeah, and for me, that's where, number one, it was a good article. Very intriguing article. Myles Garrett, he's in Cleveland. Of course, he's going to say these things. And I agree to a certain degree. But to say Kevin Durant, is riding coattails when he won the MVP the last 2 years in the finals, he's the reason that he's put them over the hump to where they're almost untouchable now. That's not riding coattails. We can all agree to disagree with the decision. It is different than what LeBron did, but in this sense, it is kind of similar because in the East, in the Eastern Conference, you took 3 of the better players in the East and put them on the same team.
I'm gonna try to translate what LeBron really thinks. He can't say it. He had Myles Garrett say it. In my view, I don't think he asked him to. But the atmosphere, LeBron has set an atmosphere in Cleveland where Myles Garrett said what needed to be said and LeBron wanted said. I'm gonna try to translate it without getting myself into trouble, but y'all will know what I'm talking about. Golden State is that suburban team that, let's say, in 1997, or I'm gonna go back to my childhood. In 1981, we go out and beat some suburban team. And then the next year you play them, and they've hijacked 2 or 3 players from the city to come play for them, and then they beat y'all. And then all the little dudes that you used to beat up the year before and the year before, now they talking smack like we did something. And you know damn well they went out and stole some players that don't even live in their zip code, that have nothing to do with them. They wouldn't even have dinner with them if they wasn't on the team with them and they needed them to win a championship. That's what Golden State did by getting Kevin Durant, and LeBron doesn't justifiably respect
Let me, enough, all right? I'm tired of you ripping the suburban kids. I was a suburban kid, and let me tell you this. The game of basketball has become a suburban game. You might not want to hear that.
Not for LeBron.
Kyrie Irving,
Not for LeBron.
suburban. Steph Curry, Karl Anthony Towns, Ben Simmons. I could go on and on. These
Not for
guys are
LeBron.
growing up in the suburbs. They ain't playing on the playgrounds no more. Every game they play from the age of 8 on is in a gym, it's set up, it's AAU and all that.
Structure to it.
LeBron is from the hood, but the rest of these guys are suburban now a lot of times.
I've seen it, and you're right from that perspective, but the game has changed and shifted so much. LeBron, I think his thinking is he don't worry about a lot of stuff like that in regards to Kevin Durant and his legacy, because Kevin Durant's titles, even if Golden State gets them, I don't think it impacts his legacy, because the way LeBron was able to do it by doing it in Cleveland with the team that he had against Golden State is a lot different than Kevin Durant, even if he wins a couple more.
If Steph Curry finishes with 5 or 6 titles and the style of play in the NBA looks like Steph Curry's game, you're telling me people aren't going to be arguing, LeBron, you didn't dominate this era the way that Steph Curry did.
Maybe not on a championship level, on an individual level.
Exactly.
On an individual level, that's not even a question. You always go stack up between who it is. And also, too,
Is Bill Russell and Will Chamberlain.
Who's writing the narrative, though?
Argument.
We're writing the narrative today. 15, 20 years from now, the young millennials are going to be writing this narrative. It's going to be a different conversation back then, because they're used and too accustomed to what's happening today. So that narrative 15, 20 years from now is going to look a lot different.
But I think even more than anything, the fact that LeBron was able to win the way he won, even though he did have Kyrie when he went back to Cleveland, it felt like he was.
What is that?
No,
Is that 3?
No, keep going.
It felt like he did it more by himself. With Kevin Durant and Steph Curry and all the, even though they drafted most of their guys, with the exception of Kevin Durant coming over, it still feels like it was assembled. It got set up. LeBron doing it his own way, even though he went down to Miami. When he went back to Cleveland, he made that choice. It was almost as if, I started something, I left, I'm coming back to finish it.
But he assembled too, because you had to go get Kevin Love, you had to get Kyle Korver, you had to get the complimentary James Jones at the time when he played first.
Kyle Korver.
But he had to assemble the pieces in order to get to the champ. Kevin Love got him a championship in Cleveland.
Where you're right, Jason, is I think we all would agree, if Durant were to leave Golden State, say he goes back to OKC or he goes home to Washington and won a championship, it would mean more and it would get more respect. But that's different than saying he's not respected at all with these.
I don't want to say not respected at all, but he don't get the ultimate respect, and I think Myles Garrett articulated. I'm going to make this point, and this won't be the ultimate proof, because who knows what LeBron James is going to do. But I think this will be another point in my favor, because I don't think Houston, Philadelphia, or San Antonio have any shot at LeBron James, because that would look similar to what Durant did. I think what Myles Garrett is laying the foundation for is LeBron's about to do what he did in Miami and get 2 or 3 a couple of pieces to go with him to LA or wherever. But hopping on some team that's already got a flow and a momentum to him, not gonna happen. LeBron is gonna build up something again from scratch, win another championship, and say Durant, Steph Curry, they couldn't do this.
Let me ask you this. If Kevin Durant, because look, Myles Garrett isn't the only one. Jared Dudley came on my radio show Sunday. C.J. McCollum's tweeting, you need to go win one on your own. If Kevin, and then even at the parade, now I thought Golden State went a little too far. You know what I mean? Like he's already Durant sensitive. Yep. He's already hearing this. So let's say hypothetically Durant said, you know what? All right, forget y'all. I'm gonna go somewhere else and win it. And he called LeBron and said, let's go to the Lakers. You don't think LeBron would do that?
Why wouldn't he?
He would. That's
I know
my
he
point.
would. Why wouldn't he?
So
that would be the same as joining Dwayne Wade and doing the Miami thing.
I think that would be now I wouldn't fault LeBron for doing it, but I think that would be an easier path than going to San Antonio or Philly or Boston.
But how does that change the narrative for Kevin Durant? Let's say they do that and they win a championship. Does that change the narrative for Kevin Durant?
I don't think so.
You see what I'm saying? We're still
it wouldn't make
but that's what I'm saying. It goes to that.
He makes it even worse.
It goes to the same point. Like I said, a 1A game, but with a 2 personality in regards to leadership and being that man, being that mantra. Everybody's not built like that. You know, we want everybody to be the man because the game is there. But mentality-wise, a lot of guys are not built to carry that load up and down.
Chris, I'm glad you said that because you've opened my mind to that possibility, that maybe is what they're laying the foundation for. And again, that's a long shot. Durant has said but who knows what trick LeBron has up his sleeve.
I've thought about it. I mean, look, Durant has said he's going back to Golden State, but I have thought about that.
Absolutely.
But here's the thing. It wouldn't help Durant because people would just say, now you're with the best player in the world. You know, this is just more of the same. So, and Durant's in position, to your point, about keeping LeBron from winning more rings. Durant could stay in. What if he gets up with 5? He ends up with 4 or 5 rings.
That's not Durant's mentality to keep anything away from LeBron. Durant wants everybody to be happy, man. All these guys.
I think LeBron is like
that. All these guys want everybody to be happy, but
Russell ain't.
But no. LeBron is sneaky, man, and it's like LeBron is sneaky, and I think he's a guy that said, "Oh, I can spot some weakness here that I can exploit."
Yeah.
I got a guy I can talk into coming and being my bottom player. That's what I think potentially he's doing with Kevin Durant. Seriously. All right, welcome back. Jim Jackson and Greg Jennings are back. We're joined now by the founder of the Big Lead, Jason McIntyre. Let's move to the UFC, where Dana White is being criticized for signing former NFL defensive end Greg Hardy to a developmental deal. Hardy was basically forced out of the NFL because of his poor handling of the aftermath of a misdemeanor domestic violence conviction his lawyers had overturned and he vigorously disputed. The Marxist blog Deadspin is, of course, the ringleader of the Hardy and White bashing. Yesterday, Deadspin published a piece blasting White for being hypocritical and motivated by money. I don't get this. Fighting is not a morality play. Fighting is actually the epitome of immorality. Hypocrisy and greed are at the foundation of mixed martial arts, boxing, and schoolyard brawls. The people who think Hardy is pure evil should be celebrating the fact that he's found a profession that matches his alleged character. I'll ask the outraged, virtue-signaling liberals, what should ex-convicts do? Live on welfare? Is that the solution? These same outraged do-gooders pretend to be the friends of poor people of color, especially those caught in our flawed criminal justice system. A female judge and a female assistant prosecutor originally sentenced Hardy to probation and a 60-day suspended sentence for misdemeanor domestic violence. They are far more informed and honorable than the people trying to slap a scarlet letter on Hardy and White. I just don't understand why this is controversial that Greg Hardy's in the UFC.
Well, it's because of the domestic violence issues, whether that got dismissed or not. He had character issues. But for me, I think it's a great move because redemption is something that we always look for. And why not be able to do it in a different sport? It's not like he's coming back to the NFL and we're judging him based on that. And UFC doesn't have the best track record in regards to not having some individuals who've been involved in some domestic violence. And I agree with you on this. It's a violent sport. This man has a chance now to use that violence and that anger to be able to make a career out of himself. And I think in the long term, it could bode well for UFC in regard from a marketing perspective of what Greg Hardy can bring to the table because of that dynamic former football player, now turned UFC pro, making a lot of money, winning a lot of events.
Yeah, I like it. I like the move. And I credit a lot of this to Dana White because he probably knew going into this, I'm going to take some flack for this. But is this the best move for not only the UFC, but for this young man to give him another opportunity to get back on his feet? And I don't like this whole idea of keep somebody down when they're down. Like, no, allow them to get back up. He's chosen to get back up, find another outlet to where he can express and release some of his anger or whatever it is. Allow him to do that. That's his right. And so for Dana White to say, you know what, I'll take it on, I believe it's going to work out. It's going to be beneficial for both sides. And we just have to let the man live and move past what he's done. We understand what he's done.
Why are you laughing?
Well, it's unfortunate as a blogger here. I feel like I'm getting backed into a corner. I agree with you guys on everything. And I actually think there's no but, Jim. There's no but here. But I do believe that this is one of the problems of giving a voice to everybody. Social media, having a blog, it's great that everybody can have their opinion. It's wonderful. But then you get one person saying that, geez, Greg Hardy, he can't even be an Uber driver, much less an MMA fighter, UFC guy. Like, what should Greg Hardy do with the rest of his life? Yeah. Should he do nothing because one outlet here says, geez, man, this guy's he's radioactive because 4 years ago he got in trouble? Like, it's just unfortunate. And I know, Whitlock, we talk about this a lot, the social media stuff, and it's a bit of a problem because I think this is garbage.
You raised a great point that even I just hadn't thought of in context to the Greg Hardy deal. I've thought of it, and we've talked about it. Everybody, the democratization of media voices, everybody has one now, and we have to take seriously everything any person says who has an outlet to publish it over the internet.
Any idiot say?
Yeah,
it's okay. Nobody.
I was about to say something. And it's just wrong because people aren't thinking through their arguments or they're beholden to some political agenda. None of us, I want to be clear here because this will be put out, 4 guys just sitting around caping up for Greg Hardy. And I don't think any of us are doing that. What Greg Hardy was involved in was a terrible incident, a criminal incident, but the misguided outrage towards Greg Hardy and Dana White, again, when I say the court system, a female judge who is an advocate for women in abuse issues, graduated from Harvard. She's not a joke with this. An assistant prosecutor, black female, was involved in settling the case for Greg Hardy, and they settled on a misdemeanor with a 60-day suspension. That's what got overturned. He was never going to jail. A judge, a prosecutor, and there was a male prosecutor involved as well. They are experts in this area. And so they looked at all the facts and reached a conclusion, misdemeanor, 60-day suspended sentence. Experts did this, people that deal with this every day. And now just a group of people on the internet said, well, we've decided that we know better and that's not enough. And Greg Hardy must be buried under a jail. That's the only solution here.
You're definitely right that what Greg Hardy did was awful. But nobody reads the facts, Jason. They just see the headline. Greg Hardy did this. There were guns on the bed. Greg Hardy, it's done. That's how justice is done now on the internet. You just read the headline. Nobody dives deep into the facts. And that's a big problem right now.
All right, welcome back. Tim Brando and Greg Jennings are back. We're joined now by longtime NFL player and scout Bucky Brooks. Let's move to Baltimore, where people are getting excited about Lamar Jackson with the Ravens using their rookie quarterback at a variety of different positions in practice and players raving about his athletic ability. Not only that, but safety Eric Weddle says Lamar's presence has, quote, lit a fire under Joe Flacco, which is exactly what the Ravens need, but maybe not what Lamar needs. That's kind of my take. Yeah. I think that this is going to work out great for the Ravens. They're going to get Lamar Jackson on the field early at a variety of positions. He's going to help them in a variety of ways. And I think they're going to get the best out of Joe Flacco. And so I don't think Joe Flacco's going anywhere as their starting quarterback. And I think once we see Lamar Jackson contribute in other ways than quarterback, that's going to change the trajectory of his quarterback career in the NFL. This is going to work well for the Ravens, not so well for Lamar Jackson.
I'm going to defer to the scout.
Oh, I disagree. I think this is the perfect environment for Lamar Jackson to be the quarterback. One, when you think about the Baltimore Ravens are a franchise under Ozzie Newsome, who's always typically drafted well. When you look at the coaches that were in place, Marty Mornwig, Greg Roman, they're guys that are very experienced in dealing with dual-threat quarterbacks. So Lamar Jackson goes into a quarterback room where he is going to have the support that he needs and a system that is going to allow him to play the way that he needs to play. And then when you think about the Joe Flacco thing, Joe Flacco is in a situation where this is going to be the last year that we see Joe Flacco in Baltimore. Joe Flacco has not won a significant amount of games since he signed a big contract. And even when he bet on himself, the organization was lukewarm on Joe Flacco, and they've continued to be so. So this is a situation where when you're hitting the veterans excited about Lamar Jackson, it's because they see the talent, they see the athleticism, and he's brought a buzz that hasn't been there since Joe Flacco is there. And the competition will make Joe Flacco better, but I think he is what he is. He's just an average quarterback. I think Baltimore wants better.
But if you know Lamar Jackson's persona, you know how this kid's cut, and he's a really good young guy. His head's going to be spinning through the course of the year. It would have been really nice for him to be in a more settled situation behind a quarterback like Drew Brees, who didn't have to worry about his future, who with Sean Payton has been maybe the closest thing to Montana and Walsh that we've seen from an offensive standpoint with one franchise for a long period of time. Boy, his people should have taken that call from New Orleans so he could have gone before Ozzie Newsome took him. I don't think there's any question that he's going to be a solid quarterback, but not having a Joe Flacco that's going to be as supportive as Drew might have been for him long-term is going to affect Lamar's productivity, I believe.
I agree with you, Jason, on this one. I think that this is a great situation for the Ravens and not so much for Lamar Jackson, solely because when I look at what's around him, at the skill positions, there's nothing around him to support him. Yeah. When you look at every other young quarterback that got drafted in the first round this year, you got the Bills, they have talent around their young guy. You got the Browns, they have talent there now. Yeah. You have the Cardinals, they have talent there now. Sam Darnold with the New York Jets is the only other comparison that really doesn't have a lot to work with offensively. And when you talk about him being able to run at different positions, all that, I think that is what they're most excited about. But more importantly, just the fact that he's our best athlete on this offensive team.
Yeah, and
on the whole team. Bucky, I want to say this. Let's take your position that this is it for Joe Flacco. He's not going to play well enough to keep his job in Baltimore. If that's the case, you know who's getting fired as well? John Harbaugh. And that Ozzie Newsome, we know he's done at the end of this year. So he will have been drafted into a place that will have a new general manager, and I know they're keeping a guy that's already in-house, but it's still a new general manager. His reputation isn't attached to Lamar Jackson, and they're going to have a new head coach. This is not the great fit for Lamar.
I think here's what the situation is. Look, Joe Flacco has been right around 500 since they won the Super Bowl. The thing about the Baltimore Ravens, and when you think about the Ravens, you think about their defense, you think about when they're at their best, they run the ball. But what Lamar Jackson does, when you put him in at quarterback, he changes the dynamic because now, regardless of whether he runs around or not, defensively, you now have to play 11 on 11. You have to count for the quarterback every time as a runner. That is going to improve the way that they play. And when you think about this division is a rough and tumble division. It is one where you got to play rock'em sock'em football. And so I know Greg talks about them not having weapons around him, but they drafted 2 tight ends around them. Yeah. Those tight ends were drafted with Lamar Jackson in mind. They brought Michael Crabtree over. They have Willie Snead. I'm not saying those guys are A-level receivers.
Willie Snead is.
They're good enough in the right situation to help him. And remember, we can go back and we can talk about Kaepernick and whether he can or can't play. In San Francisco, Michael Crabtree emerged when Colin Kaepernick was on the field. I believe that Michael Crabtree is there to be a guy to help Lamar Jackson do his thing.
Yeah, and you only like Willie Snead because he went to Ball State.
No, Willie Snead's a great player.
And he was the third option in New Orleans, by the way.
He catches everything.
Third option in New Orleans.
He catches everything.
If Willie Snead was that great of a player, he would still be in New Orleans.
He had
third option in New Orleans.
He had issues. Willie Snead's a great player. Trust me. You're gonna
but he was the third option in New Orleans, though.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, Lamar would have had a lot more
nothing to do with the fact that your alma
mater. It's a coincidence that he played at Ball State. It's just a coincidence. He's a great player. Yeah. But honest to goodness, I hear everything you're saying. And the thing about playing in that division, when he runs around in the jungle out there, he's gonna get touched. And he's not Cam Newton. he will fall just the same way as RG3 fell, and anybody else that chooses to run out of that pocket too many times, he's thin. He'll get touched, and he won't get up.
He will get up. And here's the thing. The RG3 thing actually was the tipping point that kind of let it be known that the Baltimore Ravens had a serious interest in Lamar Jackson. For so long, we've heard when you take an athletic quarterback, you have to change your system if he gets hurt to back up in. Well, now RG3 is going to be the backup. And so regardless of whether he still can play at a high level, the thing that they don't have to do is if Lamar Jackson goes out, they can run the same offense. It is an organizational play for Lamar Jackson to be the quarterback. I think Eric DeCosta and whoever's going to be in the mix after these guys so-called depart, I believe they're all in on Lamar Jackson.
All right, to New England, where Tom Brady's, unlike Brady offseason, continued this week. After skipping most of the team's spring workouts already, Brady decided to blow off the final week of Patriots OTAs so he could go play golf with Phil Mickelson and Ricky Fowler. I've been on Brady's side this offseason, and I still am on Brady's side, but I think this is bad for the NFL. I think that Tom Brady and Peyton Manning set a standard for all in on football. And as long as everybody around the league could point to Tom Brady and Peyton Manning about being all in, everybody else was kind of held to that standard. Once Tom Brady goes this route of, OTAs ain't that important, and all these things that coaches want us to do, not that important. When he defies Bill Belichick in this way, I think it's going to have a sprinkle-down effect and affect the rest of the league. And now when you go to Odell Beckham Jr. or Antonio Brown or anybody in the league, well, Tom Brady didn't do it. Why do I got to do it? I think it could have an impact on the rest. And maybe it's a good impact, because maybe OTAs and all this stuff, we make too much of it.
We do. We do. Thank you. We make way too much of OTA. This has been going on forever. Like, no one makes if you're a young guy trying to volley for a spot on the roster, yes, you're at every off-season training, you're at every OTA practice, you're at every possible thing or function that the team is having when the doors are open. But when you're an established guy, you're not there every single day. You're just not. And especially the last week of OTAs, the final 2 practices, the installs have already been in. Yeah. You're going to give the younger guys a lot more reps. This is not mandatory. And I'm going to tell you one thing. If Tiger Woods called you and a couple other guys called you and said, and they were out here, hey, Jason, let's come up. Let's hold on. And you have the option to work today or not. Yeah. And Tiger calls you.
Whitlock. We work.
To your point, though, I do think that the Gronkowski part of this is the more interesting aspect, because he's already hinted. And if you just look at the way he conducts himself, how he felt after the Super Bowl was over, the investment that's been made, how long is he going to last? I think maybe Brady understands how much Gronk really does mean. And he may outlast, he meaning Brady, could outlast Belichick, because I get the feeling that Belichick may be closer to the end than Tom Brady is. And Gronkowski, I think, is the linchpin to how long Tom stays.
Well, I think that is all true. I think Greg hit the nail on the head. When you're a veteran player, you're a veteran quarterback. Man, quarterbacks have a certain set of liberties that every other player doesn't have. We've seen Brett Favre kind of come and go and do as he pleases. That's kind of what they do. I think the big thing that is telling about New England now, Tom Brady feels underappreciated. He said that. He verbalized it. He has made a lot of sacrifices for this team, for this organization, not taking top money, doing some things, kind of being the message for Bill Belichick. Well, if he's not being respected and they're not winning the Super Bowl like they thought they should have when Malcolm Butler didn't play, now he's like, what am I doing this for? Why am I doing all this? Why am I carrying your water when you're not making the right decisions to give us the best opportunity to win? I'm going to go about it. I'm going to enjoy my life. Look, I'm going to show up when it's time to show up. I'm going to continue to be the MVP quarterback that I've always been. But I'm not going out of my way to be a Patriot and to do it the Patriots way when you haven't done the same in return.
I think what you just said is the key. He's going to enjoy this final run. And this goes against what every Patriot guy who we've had on have said, Willie McGinnis and all these guys, they have a ton of fun over there. No, they do not. And winning cures everything, but when you've lost, it unravels everything.
All right, welcome back. Jim Jackson, Chris Broussard, and Jason McIntyre are back. Let's move to Oklahoma City, where Paul George might be sticking around longer than anybody thought. Reportedly, there is now a growing belief around the league that George will end up staying with Russell Westbrook, Carmelo Anthony, Billy Donovan, and the Thunder instead of pursuing other options like trying to team up with LeBron James in Los Angeles. I got to say, I'd lose respect for George if he doesn't get out of OKC.
Why?
Because Carmelo Anthony is still there. Because Billy Donovan is still the coach. Because Russell Westbrook still doesn't know how to share the ball at crunch time. This would be mad. If you have a chance to go play with LeBron James, or just get the hell out of it. They're not winning anything. As long as Carmelo is there, as long as Billy Donovan is there, they ain't winning. And as long as Russell Westbrook continues to just be ball dominant and not know how to involve other teammates, it's just a bad fit.
Didn't you just write an essay ripping Kevin Durant for going to play with a winning team?
The Lakers aren't a winning team.
With LeBron?
With
They're not a
LeBron
winning
James?
team.
I would actually gain respect. I have respect for him now, and I'm fine with him if he leaves. I think he's going to go to the Lakers. But I would gain respect for him if he said, you know what? I'm going to try to build.
Carmelo.
Yeah, I'm going to try to win it here. I'm not thinking about Carmelo. I'm thinking about Russell Westbrook. Players who say,
let me trump you.
Allen
Let me
Iverson
trump
said
you.
he's staying in Philly.
Hold on, let me trump you. You ever had a best friend that was marrying the wrong guy or girl, and you said, yeah, you know what? I respect you for sticking with him. No, you don't. You sit there and go, man, I knew they were crazy when they married that person. That's exactly what Paul George would be doing. It would be crazy to stick there with Melo and that mess at OKC.
See, now he's saying something. This is a
agree.
little smarter.
That was a good
But you guys have missed
That was a good one. That was a good. He couldn't say that. That was a good one.
You silenced Broussard, which is impossible. Okay, the one word you guys haven't said is happiness. We don't know if Paul George is happy in OKC. What if he's having fun? What if he loves Russell Westbrook? I mean, I think that's crazy, but it could be true. He could love the atmosphere. He could love the city, the people.
Ponderosa.
Maybe he likes it. I don't know. But I'm not going to lose respect for a guy if he stays in OKC. That's a little harsh.
Well, it's a different kind of pressure, too, because depending on what happens with the Lakers, there's more pressure if he goes out there and he's kind of the top free agent guy. He's expected to go to the Lakers and catapult that team to be a contender. Depending on who else comes along. If it's LeBron, then he doesn't have that pressure. In OKC, he doesn't have that pressure. It's still on Russell Westbrook, okay? So it depends on the mentality of what Paul George or who he thinks he really is and what he wants to accomplish. The Carmelo thing is only 1 year. Exactly. He's gone after that.
And he'll probably, my guess is he might get bought out anyway.
Exactly. So it's a matter of, one, is he comfortable playing with Russell and the organization there in OKC? And does he love his position a lot more with not having the pressure in OKC as compared to
We're also
LA?
speculating that he's automatically going to the Lakers with LeBron. What if LeBron says, I like Paul George. I don't love him. I want Chris Paul. I want my buddy. What if he doesn't want LeBron? If LeBron doesn't want Paul George, then what?
How about this? Paul George, while I like him and LeBron in LA, to me, the best options for him are Philly or Houston. You know, Houston, he could be an up. You lose some players. Maybe you lose a PJ Tucker,
but that's an upgrade.
He's a great defender.
Yeah, exactly.
He's a better spot-up shooter than LeBron. He's a better three-point shooter than LeBron. At this stage, he's probably a better defender than LeBron. He's a great fit in Houston and Philadelphia. Philadelphia, he comes in. He could be a natural third or second option. He'd be a second scoring option to Embiid. LeBron comes in. He changes everything.
But you would prefer him to stay with that crazy girlfriend.
I would prefer to see him in Philly. Me personally.
Philly or Houston, but probably
Philly because of the Eastern Conference and his path to success.
And so if he chooses to stay there, why not lose a touch of respect for him for making
I'm not because you know why? Because he got 5 years, 175.
Yes,
compared to 4 years, 130.
That's right.
Okay, so that extra year gets you $35 more million, $45 more million.
You were saving that in your back pocket.
I had that right there.
All right, let's move to the Lakers, who reportedly have told Lonzo Ball and Kyle Kuzma to dial back their social media feud after Lonzo dropped a diss track mocking Kuzma for not knowing who his father is. It didn't help that LeVar went on the Herd and told Cowherd that Lonzo and Kuzma aren't that tight and maybe don't like each other. I think it's time for the Lakers to cut their losses and move on from the Ball family, Lonzo in particular. Listen, apples don't fall far from trees. And so let's say Lonzo did roll away from the father. It ain't going to be that far. He's still going to be shaded by LeVar Ball. And I think a lot of this personality that we think Lonzo doesn't have like his father, I think he actually does have. How else are you making these rap diss tracks if you're not LeVar's child?
Well, he's getting influenced. And I think it's unfortunate in today's world that now general managers have to deal with a lot more in regards to social media, okay? Because guys want to be superstars within playing the game. They want to try to perfect other things other than just their basketball game. And it comes back to hurt. And Tris and I were talking about this. Kyle Kuzma comes in from the fact, I think his ego has gotten bigger since he's been here in L.A. Unknown, so to speak, in the world of basketball, jumped onto the scene, and now it's Kuz. They're going back and forth. Upside-wise, who has the most upside? Is it LeVar? I mean, Lonzo?
I think Lonzo has more upside.
Exactly, but I just think that in this situation is not a good look in regards to two guys going on social media. If you got beef or if you want to clown with each other, do it, bro. Have fun at it. But Lonzo went personal, and I don't know how type of person Kyle is. Certain things I'm not going to get over. You start talking about me and my father, somebody I don't know, that's personal.
No, I agree with you. And even with all this said, I would not be set on trading Lonzo right now unless LeBron gives an ultimatum. Like, I'm not coming if he's there. Then obviously you moving. But if, let's say LeBron's out of the picture, he's not coming to L.A., I try to make it work with Lonzo. Now, like you said, Kuzma, that's something that would sting when you talk about his dad and make you consider, is this dude even my boy? Like, can we even be cool like that? Now, let me say this. Obviously, Lonzo went overboard. Kuzma, though, started it. I mean, they've always gone back and forth this whole year. But he put out this Bleacher Report thing about player hater of the year. He just probably can't rap. If he can rap, his thing was just as big. He just couldn't rap. So he did this production, though, and Lonzo kind of went another step and did the rap. But he obviously went too far.
I think Whitlock's spot on. When you look at last year, Magic Johnson came in February, okay? Then you had the D'Angelo Russell situation. What happened in June? D'Angelo Russell, see ya. I'm not putting up with this Iggy Azalea, Nick Young stuff. He got rid of the point guard who was the number 2 pick.
But he had issues with it before, though.
Extracurricular stuff.
He didn't live up to his hype before.
Okay,
so
well,
he had
Lonzo
that in his
just
back
shot
pocket.
30%, Jim.
He had
45% from the free throw line. 45% from the free throw line.
Between the father, the diss track, the not ability to shoot, the circus atmosphere around this, and we know, as you said, LeBron doesn't play with point guards, okay? Look what happened with Kyrie and LeBron. Like, LeBron wants the ball. I think all signs are pointing to Lonzo's out of here, sooner than later.
Where are you going? Who gonna take him?
I mean, call up Milwaukee, call Phoenix, get me some shooters.
Okay, but if he's why would a team take him? If he's having issues with LeVar here, who's gonna take him?
Lithuania.
Lonzo Ball is a top 10 jersey seller, okay? When Lonzo went to the Lakers, they got 35 national TV games last year. He's still a box office draw. Teams like him, and some of them need him. Well, the Lakers don't need him.
He can't shoot. All right, welcome back. Time for last call. Let's return to the U.S. Open, where Tiger Woods has had some struggles today, currently sitting at +8 through 14 holes. He'll tee off around 8 a.m. Eastern tomorrow. Jim, what do you expect from Tiger moving forward?
Well, it's unfortunate because I love Tiger Woods, but in our pool of bets, I was number 3 and Tiger's name was still out there. I went with Henry Stenson. I mean, my money was on it because, I don't like the body language, the mental aspect, and when things go bad for Tigers, we've seen here, they go bad.
We talked earlier in the show. I love Tiger. He's my second favorite athlete of all time after Magic Johnson. He's got a glass jaw. And so the U.S. Open is the toughest golf tournament in the world. And now with that wind whipping around, it's like a British Open with U.S. Open greens. And people think I was joking, but I thought yesterday I said I think there's a better chance of him missing the cut than making the top 10. And this morning when I woke up, but right before his teed off, I said I think he's going to miss the cut. This is playing with Dustin Johnson and Justin Thomas, 2 of the best players in the world. I think that was a bad mix. I think the course is a bad mix. I think that what we saw last week in the Memorial was a precursor. Tiger struggled putting last week. And it's just, golf requires so many different elements. and putting them all together in the same deal, that's how you win tournaments.
Yeah.
I don't think Tiger can do
The
that.
mental
right now.
aspect, the best part of his game, the mentality, putting, saving par, saving a bogey instead of a double bogey. He's not doing that right now. And on this course, even with the conditions maybe changing tomorrow, it doesn't bode well for him moving forward. And you may be right. Hopefully
Shout
you're
out
not.
my man Blake May back in Kansas City. I'll take my hundreds in all ones.